Hi, this is Paul Bowerman of Bowerman 939, the Brigham Tea Company, where I'm here today. I am butchering quail. A friend of mine had raised his quail, and he raised them from eggs, and said he didn't have the heart to butcher them. So I said I'd butcher them, and I'd get half of them. He'd get half of them. So what we got here, I'm going to show you the gory part of dispatching them, but it's just like a chicken. I like to save as much of the fat as you can, and the only way you can save that fat is by plucking them and not skinning them. If you're in a hurry, just skin them, throw them in a freezer and freeze them. But this is how you pluck and prepare and gut these are only the male. I guess they'd be a rooster or a cock quail that he's raised. So I got some boiling water here. You just dip them in here a few times. You can kind of start to tell that you don't want to leave them in there because it'll cook them. So you just dip them a few times, and then the feathers. I start with the wing feathers. They just come right out. Come down the legs. I don't know if you can see this. Come down the legs, skin the legs, pull the feathers off the legs. A lot of the old timers used to call this piece right here. It has some fat in it. They used to call it the part that went over the fence last. And you just work your way down through the quail. Hope you can see it. Pulling the feathers just come right off, quick, easy, not too bad. I like to get the wing feathers out of the way, and I like it when you're cooking a quail in a dish. You can have other proteins in that dish, and then just throw a whole quail in there, cook it, stew it, whatever. Oh, they're so delicious, and especially where he's hand raised these. He's fed them good food. I know exactly what they've been eating. No hormones, no growth stuff. Just hand feed them. These are his babies. Actually, hope he doesn't see this video. You get as many of the feathers as you can. Most of them will come off. You have to kind of clean them 2 or 3 times. Get here. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what you do, how you gut one. So I've got the feathers off. A lot easier when there's no feathers. A lot cleaner, it feels like. You simply open them up right here under that fatty tissue, that fatty tail, and let's see if you can see. Cut that skin right there. Reach in there and grab everything in there. Pull it out. Put it in your garbage. Now there should be what's called a gizzard. And there's the gizzard. And you can eat the liver, the gizzard, the heart. I like the gizzard. They're tiny. I like chicken gizzards too. I'll put that aside. Just knock all that stuff out of there. There's the heart. The heart's good eating. Save that. Get everything out of there. Then I typically, where their poop and they pee and everything comes out of that little fat tissue right there, generally cut that off. And then I simply, right at the joint, doesn't take a lot of knife. In fact, it's just a gentle process. As you can see, it looks like a miniature chicken. They're really good in all kinds of, anywhere you could throw a chicken, you can put these in. They are delicious, especially where they're hand raised. Anyhow, I'll do one more for you. Kind of shake off the water. I got icy water over here, so they're nice and cool. And you simply, again, make sure you're seeing this. Make sure the camera's still running. And yeah, okay. Just dip them gently in the boiling water. Don't want to do too much. Like 3 or 4 times until you can start to see the feathers starting to come off in the pot. One more time. Okay. Remember, don't get your fingers down in there. That's 212 degrees. Actually, it's like probably 211 or something. We're 1,000 feet. So again, I like to pull the wing feathers off first. And I like how it looks in a dish. I like the whole bird, and the person getting the bird, when they're eating it, they're eating the whole bird. They got the wings, and not to mention, a lot of people just save the breasts. And let's be honest, this animal has gave its life for us. It ought to get the honor of the whole thing being eaten. We ought to honor its life by eating the whole animal, as much as the animals we possibly can. That's why I try to eat the gizzard and the heart, and sometimes I'll even save the livers if they're like on a bigger bird. I'll save the lizards or the liver. Sorry, gizzards. I save the gizzards too. Now see how I've got a wing here? It's kind of giving me trouble right there. I'll just dip that back in there for a second. And then they come right out of there. Okay, pretty good. Take my knife. Some people gut them in the field when they're hunting them. I don't do that because I don't like all that yucky stuff on my food. So I try to do it in a controlled environment the best I can. That way, if you get a little something, you can kind of just push it out in the. Definitely a boy. In. That's what the gizzard looks like. What the gizzard is it has rocks. They eat a few rocks. Little tiny rocks, put them in their, it goes in their gizzard, and then the gizzard has them rocks in it, and the grain that they pick up goes into the gizzard, and it's crushed by the rocks. Here, I'll cut this gizzard open and show you what it looks like inside. I always see how it's got a ridge on it. I don't know if you can see that. Anyhow. Cut that gizzard right on the ridge. Do this with chicken gizzards too. And inside you'll see some grain and some rocks. I don't know if you can see that. Grain and rock. Okay, then on the gizzard, because it's kind of like a stomach. In fact, it is probably the first stomach of the. There is a peel on it. And you take that peel. It's really, really tough. It's no good to eat. And you peel it off the rest of the meat.